Hi, I'm Tanya. I like to make hardy things in order to keep sane. Why don't you come join me? You might find a bit of sanity too. Let's go. Thank you for joining me. Today I want to colour in this black and white tin sign that I got. I thought it was funny and cute, but somewhat boring. So that's what I'm doing today. And the best way I feel is to do alcohol ink. So with a range of colours in hand, I'm going to try and do like a floral kind of dreamy background, but just bright and colourful. That's my goal. Bit of isopropyl alcohol will help dilute and let the colours run where I want it. Make sure your tin's nice and straight so it doesn't pull or run off anywhere too extreme. And then start dabbling in your colours. With a little air gun, I'm going to blow around the inks and try and get them to pull in certain ways. But ultimately, you don't have a lot of control over inks, which is why I love them so much. They have a mind and a soul all of their own. All you can do is entice it to go certain ways. So that's what I'm doing here with the air gun. I decided I wanted some brighter, pure colours in there as well. So I've opted not to use isopropyl in some areas. And they're still bleeding and running together and making their own beautiful patterns. I'm not too concerned about the skeleton itself because later on I will pull that ink back off and let the skeleton come through. As the ink pulls and moves around, where it dries there tends to be small lines, which is what I'm trying to manipulate with the little air gun. Notice the different ways that you can blend your inks just by manipulating them and trying to enforce whereabouts they dry. Like here I'm holding the airbrush away from it to dry a general area rather than manipulate a very specific area like I was earlier. And it's okay just to put the ink straight on with the bottles. It'll give you a very strong, thick set of colour. And here I'm basically drawing with the bottle itself. And just remember, it's all play. It's all fun. Nothing's gonna like kill you. You know what I mean? Although, having said that, do make sure that you wear a mask. But whew, she's pretty potent stuff, people. The funny thing about these inks is that when one is starting to dry and you put a wet ink over the top, the wet one will push the dry one out of the way and will become the more dominant ink. So it's another process that you can play with. At this stage I'm pretty happy with how much colour I've got in there, so I want to bring in some more detail. And to do that I'm going to get a nice fine long brush and load it up with some isopropyl alcohol and start just pushing the ink around a little bit. By dragging some of this alcohol over the top of the ink, it will separate and draw lines in there. The more I rub it in, the more ink will come off, which is what I'm doing in some areas. In other areas, I'm just letting it separate and bleed. And this way I'm bringing in some petals into the flowers and bringing in more detail. It may not be overly obvious at the start, but as the alcohol bleeds into the ink, it will become more obvious. This medium likes to take its time and do its own thing. It's much like me. To make the petals, I'm starting off in the center and drawing circles upon circles, not complete circles, just the suggestion of a circle, and these will be the petals that are closed up upon one another. And at this stage, now that I've got my detail, I'm going to start pulling the ink back off the skeleton. And I'll do this by rubbing the alcohol ink, not the ink, sorry, the isopropyl alcohol over the top of the areas that I want to remove, and then getting a tissue and dabbing and continuing the process until I'm happy. And that will bring the skeleton forward and the colours in the background. And of course we need some extra life to go with our little skeleton, and with that I'm going to get some beautiful green ink and start putting in some greenery and leaves and make it all very fresh looking. I've just popped the ink straight onto the tin, and I'm using the alcohol to shape it and spread it where I would like it. This gives me a little bit more control with that ink. The greenery being quite dark is a really good contrast against the white of the skeleton, and it also helps me bring out the skeleton forward more. And in some areas I'm just giving it a really general, vague greenery, or a suggestion of the greenery. And it's helping me balance out my colours a little bit more. Anywhere that it bleeds over, we can just wipe back off like before. Now I'm just going to use some extra green to fill in any gaps that I want and kind of colour it in. I have a really fun flicky tool that I love to use with these artworks, and I pour the alcohol over the top of the flicky tool and then just flick it like so. And what it does is creates little droplets all over the artwork, and the droplets then create little cells and gives it a beautiful texture, and I just adore it. It's so fun. And to make the writing stand out, I've got a blender pen that I'm just going to use to pull off the ink and work my way around that My Lord there at the bottom and make it stand out more. And that is basically it. So I would love to thank everyone for joining me today. I really appreciate you. Please like and subscribe if you want to, and join me again in the future. Please go do something creative, get some serotonin going. See ya.